Well, hello, family. How are you? Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to be here with you all. This is your girl, Nicole Bozeman. I'm going to share this on my feed. I'm going to give a few more moments while Facebook let you guys know that I'm here. Hello, hello, hello. So as you can see, I am on location, and I'm actually getting ready to head to the airport. But before I head out, I wanted to talk to you all about 6 habits to unlearn for your mental wellness. Listen, we are in a new season. I don't know, guys. Okay, I make sure I got all my checks going on. So listen, it is so important that while we're in this new spring season that we're in, right, that we begin to deal with our mental wellness. I've been talking about spring cleaning and how many of us are spending that time now. The Easter's coming up. We just had Palm Sunday yesterday. We got Good Friday coming up, and then Easter Sunday. And during this time was all about spring cleaning, cleaning your environment, your home office, your car, all of them places. And if you've been doing spring cleaning, will you let me know in the comments below? Because I know I have. And oh, wait, did I introduce myself? Hey, let me introduce myself real fast. So, hi, guys. My name is Nicole Bozeman. I am your safe space influencer and mindset transformationalist. I'm creator of Crystals, Diamonds, and Pearls, LLC. It truly is your safe space of healing and wellness where you can step inside judgment-free and really begin to deal with the trauma or the toxicity of narcissistic relationships. Find your balance in your emotional and mental space and really begin to cleanse yourself out so that you can truly live your authentic truth. And I know you hear people talk about that all the time, and what does that mean? But I like to really focus on your emotional, mental, and spiritual wellness so that it does not have an effect on your physical well-being, and that you can really begin to cleanse and clear your environment and your social space as well, right? So welcome inside. Now, as you're coming in, will you do me a favor? Will you tag a friend? Will you invite somebody into this live real fast? Because it's really all about finding this balance and unlearning some old habits that we've been doing, especially those of us that are in our 5th, 6th, and 7th decade of life, even you guys in your 4th decade of life. There were some things that we learned and habits that we had when we were teenagers, when we were coming up, and things that we were taught, and ways to think. How do we react and respond to relationships, situations, people, dynamics, right? And those habits or thought processes or belief systems were things that were ingrained in us. They were taught to us by our grandmother and her mom and our parents and their parents and their parents' parents. But what I'm discovering as a wellness coach is that a lot of those habits and thought processes and belief systems don't have the power to serve us in our today. And oftentimes, especially those of us who are going through our midlife crisis, so if you see me do it like this, it's only because I'm probably having a hot flash. But those of us that are going through this phase in our lives right now where we are reevaluating everything, people, relationships, situations, mindsets, behaviors, habits. Some we're willing to acknowledge and really hone in on and make changes to, and others we are a little challenged with. because it taps into a part of us that we haven't dealt with in a long time, or is connected to bad memories or experiences that put us in a space of grieving. Things that will trigger us. And so today I just wanted to quickly come on before I head out and talk about these 6 habits to unlearn, so that you can have a better emotional and mental space for your mental wellness, right? So here's the first habit that we have to unlearn. Habit number 1 is relying on others to make you feel fulfilled. Yeah, that one. I share my testimony about being in a narcissistic relationship, and how it really pulled everything out of me, and it left me depleted in my emotional mental space, because I was giving everything to that individual and I didn't have anything for myself. And as I broke free from it, and now that I'm healed and I'm healing, and I'm healed while I'm healing, one thing I realized was that they needed me to fulfill them, like to make them feel like they were valued and they were worthy, though they would stay in this narcissistic stance and this alpha energy, of I don't need nobody. I know who I am. I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what God's assignment is for my life. But then they would turn around and expect me to pour into them all these emotions and these feelings, to make them feel good about themselves. And if you've ever dealt with somebody like that and you've been depleted by them, I want you to stick with me, because I'm going to help you release yourself from that and begin to fill your own vessel, right? Allow God to fill that vessel in you. I got so depleted that I went down a very, very, very dark space, and I began to feel emotionally empty. I was so fatigued and tired that my storage was so empty. It was so bare. It was like old Mother Hubbard's cupboard. It was bare. There was nothing to give for myself. There was nothing to give to my children. For work, I was struggling. It was starting to manifest itself in a physical sense. And so it's important that we unlearn these habits. And so this first habit is it deals with our emotional space and our need to be seen, to be heard, and to be supported. But there's a way that you can do that without causing or requiring other people to do it for you. So habit number 1 to unlearn for your mental wellness is to stop relying on others to make you feel fulfilled. They can't give you the thing that you have the tools and the resources to give yourself. They can't love you if you can't love you. And what's happening is that you're asking them to pour into you. And even if they did, your vessel is so contaminated and it's so chipped and broken that it's spewing out and it's spilling out. And so what should feel like that thing that you need, the love, the passion, the compassion, the oneness, the alignment, the understanding, the empathy, it when they pour it into you, it turns contaminated. And it looks and it feels as if they're not giving you what you need. And then you'll find yourself saying things like, you never do. You never. I never feel. Nobody does. Every time I do, they don't listen. They can't hear. They can't do this. They can't do that. And when you require people to pour into you like that and to make you feel like you're fulfilled, or that make you feel validated, guess who has all the power? And their actions, or what you deem to be their inactions, are the thing that controls and manipulates your emotional response. You don't have power over yourself. And everything they do dictates what you do. So that's the first habit to unlearn, is you don't have to rely on others to make you feel validated or fulfilled. You do it for you. You're your own superhero. And you really do have what's in you. You just have to uncover it and get up from under all those layers of contamination that says you have to do it this way in order to have this particular reaction or response. Now, the second thing that we need to unlearn in order to have good mental wellness and mental health and mental wellness, is saying yes to every request you get. Like, every time somebody asks you something, can you do this for me? Yeah, even though you don't want to. I'll do it. Okay, I know my plate is full, but I'll go ahead. They want you to host a family dinner. They want you to host a family reunion. They want you to put everything together. Oh, they can do it. They do it all the time. Half the time you don't even want to do it. And when you say yes, you take on this feeling of defeat, fatigue. You're stressed. And people looking around you, your family looking at you like, why are you doing it again? Will you oversee this meeting? Will you do this job here? Are you equipped to do it? Yeah. That's why they keep asking you. Do you need to do it? Half the time, no. When we say yes on a consistent basis, oftentimes it is based off of this fear of abandonment, feeling like you will no longer belong to the group or be considered the one who's reliable, and you flip it and you say, well, they're doing it because they know I'm reliable and I'm good at what I do, and that's great. But it's time to step out of your zone of excellence, that zone where you can do things with your eyes closed. I got this, I had this, which is why they always tell you yes. I mean, they always give it to you and you always end up saying yes. And allow yourself to enter into your zone of genius, where you begin to feel expanding. You are experiencing new things and new information and new opportunities. It takes you out of your comfort zone. The zone of genius would do that. So the second habit we have to unlearn is always saying yes to everything. Because we're afraid that if we don't say yes, they're going to abandon us. And I'm no longer going to belong to the in group or the in crowd or that group. Heck, some of them groups you don't even need to be a part of anyway. Some of them friendships you need to reevaluate, especially now in the season that you're in, of revitalizing and refreshing and pivoting, right? Oh boy. So here's number 3. So the third habit that we need to unlearn for our mental wellness is being unclear in how you communicate. Not really sure how you feel about things. Not having a clear voice. It is learning what your new love language is. And when I use that term love language, and I know we equate it to that 5 love languages book and series and things like that, but it's not just about intimate love, but it's relational love. It's love of self. It's communicating where you can have your boundaries. It's self-love, self-care, self-respect. So the third thing we have to do is being unclear. I struggled with that for a long time, especially when I was in that narcissistic relationship. I became unclear in my communication. Like, I would try to say something or express how I felt, and the minute I got pushback, I would just shut everything down. And I was like, never mind, that's okay. Okay, whatever you say, because I didn't want to argue. But I was losing myself in their need to be validated. So I was pouring into them stuff, things and energy, and just this flow that I wasn't pouring into myself. And so I was drying up. My vessel was getting depleted. I was saying yes to things I didn't want to say yes to. I found myself doing things I really didn't want to do. I was agreeing to things I really didn't want to agree with. Because I felt like I had no choice. I felt like if I didn't do it, I was going to be abandoned, or I was going to no longer belong to something I really wasn't belonging to in the first place. But I didn't know it then. I know it now. But then in those relationships, in that moment, oftentimes we don't realize that. So that is the third habit. So here's the first three. If you're just joining me, hey guys, this is Nicole, your safe space influencer. And we'll talk about the 6 habits to unlearn for your mental wellness. And the first one was relying on others to make you feel fulfilled. The second one was saying yes to every request you get. This third one I just talked about was being unclear in how you communicate. It's redefining your language, your boundaries, your emotional space, not being afraid or intimidated to speak your truth, understanding how you love, how you speak love, and how you hear and receive love. It's very important now. Now, what is the fourth thing? So the fourth habit that we have to unlearn is blaming others for your problems. Listen, guys, I always say, because you did, because they did, because this happened. In our fourth, fifth, and sixth decade of life, at what point do you hold yourself accountable for the decisions you're making? When I was in that narcissistic relationship, I discovered that there were this communication that was taking place between them and another female. And when I discovered it, they sat in my face, and I had the receipts in my hand. Like, I literally had the receipts in my hand. Like, I had the receipts in my hand. And they looked me in the face and said it was their fault. It was the other female's fault. Well, they won't do, and they didn't, and it was a constant. Everybody did them wrong. Every relationship, they never hear me. They never understand me. They never get me. They always trying to do this. They just tried to trap me, and they try to do this, and they did witchcraft on me, and they're doing witchcraft on me. And every time something's wrong, it's because somebody's doing witchcraft on them, or praying against them, or coming against them, or putting spells against them. It's everybody else's fault. Yet, there you are in your fifth decade of life. You're over 50. And you mean to tell me that 6, 7, 8 other people are causing you to make poor choices and decisions? So if that's the case, that means you're incapable of making decisions on your own. So at 56, 57, 58 years old, you mean to tell me that you don't know how to make your own choices? You've never made your own decisions. Everybody else's actions caused you to make those decisions. Though you sat there and you thought about it, and you talked about it, and you discussed it with 3 or 4 other people, and you meditated over it, you slept about it, you slept on it, you dreamt about it, you had conversations with yourself about it, and you made the conscious decision to do A, B, and C. And then when the result of that comes and you reap what you have sown, now it's everybody else's fault that that thing has happened. That part. It doesn't even sound. It doesn't even sound right. It sounds dysfunctional when I say it, right? If that example sounded dysfunctional to you, or I know, better yet, tell me, how did it sound to you? You give everybody power over your emotional space. And then you want to turn into an energy vampire and require that back. It goes back to number one, relying on others to make you feel fulfilled. And you don't think that's going to put you on an emotional roller coaster ride of instability? Okay, we're going to move on. And if any of this is helping you, if any of this is giving you an aha moment of clarity, that is really allowing you to begin to feel like, oh my God, I need to make different choices, or I see now what's happening, is allowing you to see clear, or allowing you to begin to deal with some things that you know you really need to deal with in your life, but just been too afraid to do it. Will you let me know in the comments? Because it's important to know that you're not alone. I want you to know that as a safe space influencer, you are just that. You're safe. And it is time. We don't need to be going, especially those of us in midlife, we don't need to be going into our fifth and sixth decade of life, blaming everybody else for choices that we made when we were 30, 40 years old. Then turn around and say, I'm grown. I made the decisions. I did this. I did that. I did the other thing. And then when you do those things and you reap what you've sown, because every time we do something, we're sowing seeds. And at some point, it's going to come back. But then it's everybody else's fault. And not one time in your life, not one of those decisions that you made were your decisions. If you and if they don't hear the powerlessness that they have, that's really a sad space to be in. It says you have no power, no authority, and no control. And that's never good. Which is why I had to get out of that narcissistic relationship. Because that's exactly how it sounded. I got to a place where I began to say, well, what are you in control of? Like, I'm in control of everything. Are you? And yet 5 minutes later, it was wife, it was your ex-girlfriend from 20 years ago. It was your ex-wife from 30 years ago. It's your mom, it's your sister, it's this person, it's that person, it's your co-worker, it's your boss. It's everybody else's fault that things aren't going according to plan. Probably because you're doing your plan and not the plan that God has for you. But that's a whole nother topic. Okay, so that's number 4. The 5th habit that we have to begin to unlearn. And again, do me a favor. If you're watching this live, will you share this? If you're coming in to watch the replay, I want you to put hashtag replay in the comments and let me know, how does this sound to you? Like, does it sound dysfunctional to you? Because it sure does to me. Now, what is that 5th habit? The 5th habit we have to unlearn for our mental wellness is avoiding how you really feel. Stop disrespecting your emotions. It is time you put some respect on your emotions. It's time that you honor them, acknowledge them, let them know that you see them, because when you do that, you're telling yourself, I see you, I hear you, and I love you enough to acknowledge where we are. And I don't need nobody else pouring into me until I pour into myself. And it first starts with cleansing and re-examining, and in some aspects, pivoting in our habits and our behaviors. I like to say, doing a plot twist. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So it's time to stop avoiding how you really feel and allowing yourself to acknowledge your emotional mental space. Nobody else is going to do it for you. And the truth of the matter is, they don't have the permission to do it. They can't acknowledge something if you don't even acknowledge it. So it's time to break that habit. That is such a bad habit. It's that number 5 is the one that really triggers me. Because that was the first thing I had to learn to do, was to stop avoiding how I really felt. And when I gave myself permission to acknowledge my true feelings about where I was in that relationship and how that narcissistic relationship was making me feel, I began to feel myself empowering myself in my truth. I began to acknowledge that the things you're giving me are contaminating me. They're not empowering me. They're pulling from me. They're draining me, and I'm done. I gave my voice a platform, and I began to set up and create healthy boundaries that were protecting me, where I want to go, who I really am, and who I am becoming. I was tired of feeling drained and overwhelmed and fatigued and unseen and unprotected. I didn't feel safe. I could feel the energy coming out of me. I just felt so weak and drained and exhausted, though I was working, producing, and doing other things. It was just taking too much from me. And it was manifesting itself in my physical body. My hair was falling out. My skin was unhealthy. My nails were breaking. I was gaining weight. I wasn't sleeping. All of that. I was crying all the time. And I felt off balance. Like I just couldn't get it together. And I would try to have conversations, and I can feel myself not being able to think or speak and share how I felt, because I was so just dysfunctional. I was unclear. I was unstable. I was empty. And so many of you are like this. But you keep going on because you're saying yes to everything because you don't want to feel abandoned. You don't want to feel like you don't belong. You don't want to feel like you're not needed, when the one who needs you the most, you're ignoring. And that's you. So it's time to acknowledge your feelings and not avoid them anymore. Now, the 6th and final, and there's so many more, but for now, because I don't have a lot of time, the 6th habit that we need to unlearn for our mental wellness is not taking or asking for help when you need it. This is ego. When your ego says, you're fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I don't need no help, I don't need no help. I told the narcissist that the relationship that I was in, I told that individual that they really need help. And as I was going on my journey to becoming a wellness coach, certified wellness coach, and standing in this space as a safe space influencer, I really tried to use the tools that I was learning that was helping me to help them. And all they kept saying is, I'm fine, I'm fine. I don't need no help. I don't need no help. I'm good. Okay. But then you would need somebody to validate you. You're a grown person. Saying yes to everything because you didn't want to feel like you're being abandoned by those you were trying to be like. Conversation was so disoriented and dysfunctional that there was no clarity of speech or thought. Blaming and I do mean everybody, for their problems. Not taking responsibility for the choices and the conscious decisions they were making. Like, you consciously sat at your laptop, wrote out those emails. You thought about what you wanted to say. You typed those emails out. You put the email address in and you hit the send button. but it's everybody else's fault that you made those comments. Refuse to acknowledge their feelings. They have put so much disrespect on their emotional and mental space that they refuse help. And now they are in a very dysfunctional and disoriented place in their life. Listen, family, these 6 habits deal with our emotional and mental space and body and wellness. And today, so many of us are struggling in these areas. 1 or 2, maybe not all 6. But if you find yourself in any one of those areas, this is the live, this is the session right here, where it's not about what somebody else did. It's not about, oh my God, I don't need that, but they do. No, we all do. It even hit me just thinking about it, not asking for or accepting help. Feeling like I got this. I can do this on my own. There was many times where I couldn't. And I didn't want to. But I felt like I didn't have a right to ask for assistance or help. I didn't feel safe doing it. Which is why you're seeing so many people take their lives or go down these really dark spaces because they don't feel safe to say, I'm not okay. And if you've ever been there, I want you to know that Crystals, Diamonds, and Pearls is a safe space. Because I understand that. I've been in that place. I know what it's like. But I also know how it feels to finally feel safe to say, I'm done with this. I want to cleanse out all of this toxicity, these bad habits that I've had, that I've stood on for so long, believing I had no choice, I had no options. You always have options. Who told you you didn't? You may not be able to see them. You may not be able to understand or comprehend them because they look and sound really weird. The new habits and these new options and these new choices you can make to bring wellness into your emotional mental space, they look, they sound, and they feel very different. They're supposed to. You've never experienced them before. So how do you know how they're supposed to feel? It's being okay with not being okay and not being afraid to respect your emotions. You deserve it. You do. You are needed. You are wanted. You are valuable. But it's going to require you to unlearn these 6 habits so that you can begin to create new ones. How do you want to sound when you speak? What do you want to do? And if there's things that you don't want to do, but people want to make you do them, you tell them no. And be okay with them not being okay with that. I'm not doing that this time. This year, somebody else will take care of that. Not having to rely on others for your emotional fulfillment. If you can't fulfill yourself emotionally, how is somebody else going to be able to do it? Yeah. Listen, family, before I close and as I bring this to an end, I want you to know that these 6 habits are habits that most of us, if not all of us, have done somewhere in our lives. We've dealt with these habits before. Some have been able to change them and transform them, and others are still doing them. Most narcissists are probably within all 6 of these. Toxic people, you'll see them operating in multiple of these habits. But if you're ready to break free from it, if you are ready to release yourself from these habits, the first thing to do is to avoid how you really feel. Really begin to put respect on your emotions. Acknowledge them. Acknowledge that anger. Acknowledge the frustration. Acknowledge the fear. Acknowledge the fatigue, the weariness. See how that is affecting the other areas of your life. And when you begin to do that, it's going to feel weird. It is. Absolutely. Because you've never done it before. So it's going to feel unfamiliar. And I want you to step into this process, into this cleansing session. While you're cleaning your house and you're spring cleaning your house, this is how you can begin to spring clean your emotional, mental, and spiritual space by releasing yourself from these 6 habits. Yes. I hope that this information was a benefit to you. I hope that it just helped you to understand where you are and where you want to go. And if it has, if anything I've said to you resonated with you, if it triggered you some, that's okay. Feel that emotion, acknowledge that's how you feel, and then begin to acknowledge what it is that's triggering you. And create some new habits. Create those boundaries. And those relationships that make you feel like you don't belong, if you're not their yes person or their dumping ground or the source of everything they need, it's time to let them go. Because you deserve so much better. You really do. You really do. And I'm so glad that you were here to see this. Yeah. So listen, family, have a beautiful Monday as I prepare to go catch some flights. Got to catch another flight. Actually, got to catch 3 of them. But I'm working, as you can see. So, and I love what I do as a flight attendant. But this is so much more important to me right here, being the safe space influencer and mindset transformationalist. Being able to share information like this. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Being able to share information like this with you all so that you can begin to create this life that you desire. You can really begin to cleanse yourself out of these toxic relationships and get that toxicity up out of you. Yeah, it's time. It's your season. It's your time. So these are the 6 habits we have to unlearn for our mental wellness. And if you have any questions, leave a comment in the comment section below. You can inbox me or you can email me at glowup@crystaldiamondspearls.com. Again, that's glowup@crystaldiamondspearls, all one word.com. And send me your questions. And I'll be more than happy to talk to you and share with you. And and make these changes and be that safe space for you. So have a beautiful afternoon, guys. Eat well, rest well, and let's get ready to change these habits so we can begin to live our best life, especially those of us in midlife, because, darling, they ain't ready for us. Now, listen, we got a whole lot of life to live, and it's time that we do it on our terms. Have a beautiful day, guys. Make sure you like, comment, and share. Have a good one. Bye.